Hey everybody, I recently made a video going over balisong tricks that no one does, and you guys really seem to enjoy that video, so I thought I would talk about balisong tricks that everyone does. Now, before I start off with the tricks I want to talk about, there are some tricks that are going to be excluded because I'm going to consider them fundamentals. For instance, basic open is a fundamental trick. Things like thumb rollovers, index rollovers, basic aerials, those are fundamentals that you have to learn any other trick. Because if I was going to include them, then the whole list would just be those tricks. So with that out of the way, we'll get on to the first trick. Now the first trick that I think everyone does is choker fans. Because choker fans are everywhere. People love fans, but specifically the choker fan is a trick that everyone's trying to learn, everyone's trying to throw it in combos, and I can see why. It feels super satisfying to do, it looks really cool, and it's just a nice trick. It's got a decent difficulty when learning, so it can take a while to learn, but then when you do get it, it's so satisfying. Of course, there's variations of choker fans. Some people can do infinite choker fans, there's Z chokers, lots of things like that. But the basic choker fan is a trick that everyone likes to do, especially people like Camaro EE has his, I guess it's almost his signature move now, where he does a fan into a choker fan, which I cannot do on this balisong. Almost had it. So yeah, choker fans, trick that everyone does. The next trick that I want to talk about is gonna be the scissor. Everyone is doing scissors. I think part of it is just that they look cool when thrown into combos. Of course, you can do double scissors, you can do as many scissors in a row as you want, and I think that's another thing that makes them fun. Scissors are also a trick that you have to learn in order to learn some other tricks. For instance, the giraffe starts with a scissor before you do the rest of it. So scissors are tricks that a lot of people do. Another trick that I think everyone does is chaplains. Now I know some people might want to consider a chaplain a sort of fundamental trick that you have to learn other things, but I don't consider it that, because chaplains are kind of their own thing. And there's not really any tricks based off of a chaplain. Of course, there's different variations on chaplains, like a vertical, reverse, 0G, but at the end of the day, they're still just chaplains. And of course, there's things that, like a behind the 8 ball, maybe you could say that part of that is a 0G chaplain, or this kind of opening I came up with, like that. You can say that's a chaplain, but for me, the chaplain is going to be any time where it's going around more than once. And there's really not a lot of tricks that incorporate the chaplain. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is the Y3K, does a kind of chaplain. But even that's not really a chaplain because it only goes around your finger once. So chaplains are tricks that everyone does. And once again, I think it's because they're fun, they're satisfying, they look fairly cool, and I think a big factor with a lot of these tricks is there's tricks that you can do infinitely. So you can do a chaplain as long as you want. And a lot of these tricks can be used to judge a skill level to some extent. Like how long can you chaplain for, how long can you 0G chaplain for, versus, how long can you do how many scissors can you do in a row, can you do an infinite choker fan. I feel like these kinds of tricks allow people to kind of get a grasp on the general skill level of someone else, and they're a good way to show off. If I see a clip and someone starts throwing triple scissors and things, I know they're a good flipper, and I'm going to be impressed, because I personally cannot do that. So another trick that I wanted to talk about that I feel everyone does is actually the shortstop. Shortstop, we'll see if I can do one. Almost. Shortstops are tricks a lot of people like to use, there we go, to close out their combos. It's a trick that's actually, I think, fairly difficult to learn. There's a lot of very specific timings and moving parts to the trick. But when done right, it looks super buttery smooth. And it is a really good finisher. Anything where you end up just boom, ice pick, I think acts as a great finisher. And especially because it's kind of hard to come out of the ice pick. So that's also another reason why it's a good finisher. Why is the shortstop so popular? Hard to say, honestly. It's not a trick that you can do infinitely. I think it would have to do in large part because there are some popular balisong YouTubers that like to throw shortstops in fairly often in their videos. So as a result, people watch those videos and they want to learn it to flip like the person that they're watching. It's the same kind of thing where you can see flippers incorporating this trick, which Will Hirsch kind of came up with, or at least he made it popular and did a little tutorial on it, where people are going to do this trick more simply because Will did it and he's got a big following. But those were kind of some of the tricks that I think everybody does. Of course, I feel like I have some honorable mentions, ones like behind the 8-ball or the helix, and things like that, or even like say a whip rollover. But to me, because those tricks are more like short combos, I didn't want to include them. They are, of course, things that just about everyone does. I guess under that same vein, you might have like a cherry picker. But because those are more like short little combos than individual tricks to me, I think that that's why I didn't want to talk about them. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the list. Do you agree or disagree that these are tricks everyone does? Of course, there's more tricks that you could include in this list, not include. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. We have a subscriber goal of 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. So if you watched all this way and you're not subscribed, it would be pretty cool if you did. But yeah, that was all I had to talk about today. Hope you guys have all had a wonderful day. And until next time, I hope that you all keep flipping.